Hi there, this is Floating in Dreams. This is a tea time chat all about whether I think PR shifts the opinions of reviewers. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is a video that I like to do every single month. I like to comment here and chat to you about topics that I see going on in the beauty industry, in the online beauty community, and just sit down and have a chat like we're friends. And you can leave your comments down below and we can have a little discussion in the comments, and then very often we get some really nice conversations going. So if you're new here, then I hope you would like to join the pack and let us know how you feel about this topic. I'm just voicing my opinions here. You don't have to agree with me. This is all in good fun, and I really would like to know what your takes are. So let me just get to it. But before we get into the video, it may be good to know who I am and what I like doing on this channel, just in case there are some people who are new here. My name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly skews my makeup preferences. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying out eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. So today's topic wasn't one that I decided on myself. This was a suggestion in the comments last month when I was sat down to film this video. And I actually saw Jen PHELPS do something similarly as well. So I can link her video down below in case you're wondering how she feels about how being sponsored and getting gifts is contributing to reviewers becoming a little bit more positive about brands than they would be if they were making purchases with their own money, because that's the topic we're going to be chatting about today. Before we get into it, I need to address the hair situation. Yes, I went to the hairdresser and got a haircut. That's the only thing that's changed. This is still from when they did my hair that day. I always like to leave my hair hanging free and loose so I can get used to the cut before I try to style it myself. So I'm going to be washing my hair and trying to style my hair for the first time later this week. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I went with messy bangs and a more framing around my face, but keeping the length. That was it. We didn't really do much in the back at all. It's all like party in the front, nothing really going on in the back. And I immediately made a new appointment because that's the reason why my hair was looking a bit drab for a few months there, because I really badly wanted to get a haircut already in April, but they were fully booked. There were so few appointments available. So when I started to look in April, I just took the first one I could get, and it wasn't until the end of May. So yeah, it was a little bit later than I had hoped, but yeah, now I have something booked in advance, and then we're also going to look into doing something with the hair color. But since it's going to be summer, my hair is probably going to look a little lighter in a few months' time because I will be spending more time outside, and when the sun hits my hair, it sort of naturally bleaches. So that's why I didn't want to mess with my hair color right now, because it's probably still going to look a little bit differently in a few months, and I'd rather have it spruced up for the winter time and then lighten it a little bit than in the summertime. Hope that makes sense. Oh well, so yeah, I got a haircut. Let's get into the topic. Does PR shift your opinion or not? And let me just get into it, that I feel there are two sides of this. I think there is the reviewer side and there is the viewer side. And I think that as a reviewer and content creator, it's really great if you can receive some PR. It greatly helps your content usually. But from the viewer's perspective, I also think that people very quickly think that your opinions are going to be skewed by, if you're not buying the products yourself. And it's one of the reasons why I have created my channel in a way where I take the AdSense this channel makes, and that's what I see as the little budget that I can spend on makeup for the next month. And I try not to go over it. And that way I can sort of whatever it is that my viewers generate, the more people view my videos, the more money the channel makes, the bigger that budget grows. But of course, that's also a way of me being paid for the things I do. And on the one hand, I get why some people get upset when creators become too commercial and it's too much about like paid content and sponsorships and those kind of things. But on the other hand, I know that I could never go full time with this unless I got sponsorships. You cannot, it's very, very difficult online to make a living without accepting sponsorships. So I definitely think that you kind of have to if you want to be a full-time content creator. And if that's what you want to go for, if that's where your passion lies, then I do think that we should be aware of the fact that there is just no opportunity to do it any other way. The only platform that consistently pays creators for the views they generate is YouTube. No other social media platform has a equal sort of AdSense kind of program where you make a bit of money based on the views you get. On Instagram, it's crickets. Nothing like that exists. TikTok has it, but only for certain countries. I'm in the Netherlands. TikTok is not like the TikTok Creator Fund is not available to Dutch creators at all. So that's why I would never be able to benefit for something like that. So a lot of the major platforms, you need to have brands that want to work with you and send you PR in order to be able to keep your content going if you really want to put the effort in. And I think that that's something that some viewers may not realize, that a lot of this, whenever you do this, a lot of it comes out of your own pocket if you don't have any other streams of revenue. And I think that that's something that then goes into it. So does that necessarily mean that your opinions are skewed? I think that really depends on the individual creator. I've definitely seen this happen where I also feel like, wait, last week this was your favorite and now this is your favorite? How did that happen? But I definitely feel that there's also a lack of transparency sometimes from creators, especially on TikTok, with what was gifted and what wasn't. And there's this whole thing going on as well. So I definitely think that creators can do better and be more honest with their audience, so that the audience, it's just easier to tell whether the opinion is a genuine opinion or whether it's just something that was done because it was part of a sponsorship. And that sort of line is really, really blurry online. And I definitely think that there we also, as viewers, have a bit of a responsibility. That's the word for it. I think that if we watch commercials on TV and we see the actors and actresses in those commercials for like banks and whatever it is that we see, we realize that those people are hired to be in these commercials. And I don't think that we would expect these people that are promoting the laundry detergent, that's also the laundry detergent they actually use. They might, but they don't have to. And I definitely think that online, because a lot of creators get started with almost like building up a parasocial like relationship with their following, that's why people get a little bit more angry when someone sells out, you could say. But it's the only way to make a living on here. So you get a really large platform and then brands want to work with you. But at the same time, the minute you work with those brands that give you the opportunity to work with them because you have so many followers, immediately skews people into thinking that your opinion no longer is a true one. And I definitely think that that's sort of like the seesaw somewhere that we're on as creators, and it's something that we have to be very careful with. But when it comes to PR and getting PR and whether it can shift opinions, it certainly can. And as I mentioned, I've seen it happening, and this is twofold. On the one hand, it's, are you sensitive to these things as a creator? And for instance, if it is your goal to go full time, you may be snatching up these opportunities a lot more quickly. than someone like me who's like, I have an established career as a teacher. I don't need this income to, you know, live my life. I can pay my bills and expenses every month with my regular job. And then this I'm just doing for fun. And every penny I make is extra, but it's not necessarily something that I need to make a living. It's not something that I depend on. If I were to lose this YouTube channel tomorrow, would I be sad? Sure, but it wouldn't make a huge difference in my life in terms of like my finances and how I run my life. I just don't. So I definitely think that there's a difference there as well, but it's also to do with how brands approach you, and therefore also the brands you choose to work with, yes or no. I get propositions almost daily from brands. Some you've heard of, some you've never heard of, and a lot of it is just mass emailing. I don't even know how I sometimes get onto these mailing lists, asking you to try out a product or to work with them or to do whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's then up to you. Do you want to go into that or not? Like a lot of it slowed down, but for some reason, it was always fake lashes and contact lenses for a while that they wanted me to work with. I was like, have you seen my content? That's not my life. But of course, you know, if you then want to make a buck, it's super easy to do. And you could say yes to that. And yeah, so, but what you also see with some brands, and this is why when I did my most recent haul, I thanked What's Up Beauty for being a very easy brand to work with, because they send you things, no strings attached. Of course, they want you to talk about it, and I definitely think that because they sent me things and because they don't tell me what to do with the products, I feel even more inclined to tell you about it. So that could be their strategy as well. I don't know about it. But sometimes, and especially if you have sponsorships, what brands will do is they will say, they practically give you a script. Like, these are the things we need you to say. These are the things we want you to do. The section needs to be so long. And even some brands will tell you this for PR that you get, where for the PR products, when they send you them, they're like, it needs to be, like, if it's a blog post, it needs to be this long, so many words, and you need to take these and these and these pictures. Or for a video, they'll tell you, like, you need to show close-ups of the product, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to talk about it for so many seconds, or it needs to be at the start of a video. You can't just, like, squeeze it in somewhere. So there are demands, you could say, from brands as well. And if you follow those demands, of course, it is also more likely that the brand wants to work with you again. So, of course, if you do receive PR and you meet all of those requirements, it's more likely that the brand will work with you again. And that's, of course, a great way to get repeat PR. Because saying something that goes off brand or doing something that doesn't fit with what the brand wants to carry out, that is, of course, a one-way ticket to no longer receiving PR from that brand, if you know what I mean. And by that mean, like, I don't mean to say with that we need to, as creators, say certain things to stay on PR lists. However, it has definitely happened to me where I was sent a product and they didn't give me any notes, no bylines, no nothing, and I just reviewed it as is. And the product wasn't a success for me, so I was honest in my review and said that. And then when they hadn't asked me to see the post in advance, they hadn't asked me anything. And so I just posted the topic, and then they said, like, hey, have you already managed to try it? I was like, yeah, here's the review. And they're like, oh, why are you so negative? I'm like, well, it didn't work for me. What do you want me to say? Like, it turns orange. I don't remember what product it was. I just remember that it turned me into, like, I had applied one side of my face with that product and the other side of my face I didn't use it, and I had gone to work looking like that, and it, like, turned me Oompa Loompa on this side of my face. I still remember that. And then they were actually a little bit upset with me, and I never heard of them from them again because I had been negative. And I definitely think that this happens as well, where certain brands don't want the critical feedback. They don't want the critical opinions of reviewers with honest reviews. They want you to post something in less time than it takes for you to be able to review it sometimes even. So it's definitely also, like, it's not just creators, it's also like the back end of how all these things work that can make it difficult to be honest about a product. I know that some people really get frustrated that so many channels and content creators online show a product, say that it's their favorite, and then you don't see it until they declutter it in their end of year declutters or something like that. And I know it's a pet peeve for so many people, and also people in my comment section have mentioned that in the past, that they greatly dislike that. But that has to do with the fact that if you get so many products that you cannot even try everything anymore, I definitely think that's an issue for some creators where they just receive so much that it's nearly impossible to show everything. And I have personally unfollowed a couple of creators who I felt were operating in this way, where I was like, I see you putting on a full face of new to you makeup products every single week, and I don't really see those products ever coming back. So to me, that was a reason to unsubscribe and no longer follow the creator. That's definitely how I operate. I don't get upset. I don't get myself worked up. I just go like, this is just not the kind of content I want to see. Yeah, so that definitely happens. I think that's part of it as well. But I think it also has to do with the fact that certain brands will ask you, like, once you get the product, your review needs to be up in the next 2 days and pronto. So that sort of really quick overturn of products that we're seeing, it's not just content creators who do that. It's also the brands that send out the product who demand people to operate in a certain way. And one of the reasons why I decline a lot of PR if I get the opportunity is because brands want me to talk about something in a certain amount of time. And I very often don't have the time because I have my regular job. I cannot be like, okay, yeah, if I receive the package on Tuesday, I can have the video up by Thursday, especially in the wintertime. That's impossible because I work. So I'm not home. I don't have an opportunity to sit down and film a video. Yes, I have studio lighting, but it always skews a little bit what everything looks like. So I try not to do it all the time. I film some videos with studio lighting, but others I don't, because it makes everything look differently anyway. So by the time I sometimes have time from the moment a product comes in to you seeing it on my channel or as a blog post, it can take months. I'm not gonna lie. Like, some people want to, like, oh, I want to see, like, I did a new makeup releases video the other day, and I talked about how I've ordered the Lisa Eldridge new lip balms, the tinted lip balms that she came out with. And yeah, sure, I want to review those for you, but it takes me about a week to get the package, a week and a half in this case. It's not gonna come until next Friday. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it's already been, I might have already received it. But then when it comes in, I still need to take pictures of it in pristine condition so that I always have the swatches and the packaging, and like I have that, like, I keep all of those images in a little like database I have, so that I can always insert them into videos or use them for blog posts or whatever it is I want to do. I have that bit of content. Then after I've swatched it, I feel I need to test most products for at least a week before my brain knows, okay, this is how I feel about this product. And then I still don't always feel comfortable to talk about it straight away. It's like, oh, this is great, because especially with products like skincare, but also lip products, does it dry your lips? I don't know if I've only used it like for a week. I will know if I've used it all winter. You know what I mean? So for me as well, I feel that because brands want you to talk about things really quickly, that can also skew the way other people might view you. Like, if people aren't content creators and they don't know this, they might just see like, oh, there's a new product yet again, or I've never seen that again, or that review was given really willy-nilly, or whatever it is. And that, of course, is then, I think, very easily to misinterpret as someone being, having a skewed opinion of a product. But brands don't even give us time sometimes to try something properly, even if we want to, even if that's something that we enjoy doing ourselves. We like going back to products, but people don't watch those videos. Everybody says it time and time again. If I do a full face of products that aren't new to me, then nobody's gonna watch it. Nobody's gonna watch it. So I definitely think that there's a lot of things at play here that makes it so that it looks like content creators who receive a lot of PR or who are being sponsored by brands come across as not genuine. But I don't think that's always the intention. And I definitely think that in a way, it's part of how the industry works. As I mentioned at the start of the video, if you want to do this thing full time, you have to. You have to. But that doesn't mean that your opinions change. It doesn't mean that your standards for trying out products is all of a sudden any different than from before you went full time. However, of course, with brands pushing you in a certain direction, demanding things be posted in a certain time frame, you paying a certain amount of positive attention to those products within a certain video or piece of content that you're creating, I think that if you see a lot of that from a single creator, it can very much feel as if they changed their stance. I definitely think there are creators where this happens to, where I'm not even sure if they are aware of it. I also think there are people who just don't care. Jen Phelps had a really good example in her video the other week when I was watching it about Michaela, who is really, really big on TikTok. She had the collab with Glamlight a few times. She's very controversial. She seems to be creating content just so people will hate it, because any sort of engagement is engagement. You dislike my video? I'm actually quite happy with that, because that means you've interacted with it, which tells the algorithm, hey, this is something that people would like to see. And she has a lot of this content. But it gets her trips to Korea and it gets her expensive handbags. So why would she stop? There is literally no incentive. And there are just people, I think, who watch her for the drama. People watch creators for the drama, or maybe because they're jealous of what this person gets. But it's a media tactic. It's a ploy if people are that calculated and like overly exposed, you could say. And I definitely think that this was true for beauty YouTube in like 2016, 2017, when we had all the tea channels, you had all the drama with the beauty community and stuff. I definitely feel that that was part of it as well. It is known that certain creators who were featured in these spill the tea kind of videos, that the creators were sending the stories in themselves. Like, this wasn't just found on the internet. It was different creators actually feeding the gossip that fed these spill the tea kind of gossip channels. And then there was all this drama that came out of it. So I definitely think that we shouldn't underestimate that some of it isn't exactly real, you could say, and that if you want to be in this game, there's a lot of different ways in which you can do it if you want to. And like I mentioned, I make a bit of money with my AdSense, and that's what I put towards keeping this channel afloat and what I use to fund sort of the different makeup purchases that I make throughout the year. It's also the money that I use if I, for instance, bought a new camera that like I did last winter. If I need any new equipment that goes out of that, I pay my blog domain with it. I pay my my Premiere editing prescription with it. So subscription. So there's definitely like that money goes to everything that has to do with this channel to begin with. And I feel that that's okay. That's totally fine. But I definitely think that if you want to, you kind of have to work with brands and get the PR and get the sponsorships. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean that people no longer become, that you can no longer trust them. It's just up to you as a viewer to decide for yourself what you deem trustworthy if you're looking for good reviews. And if you don't find them from a certain creator, then don't try and push that creator to be something they cannot be, but look for the creators that suit your needs, which means you're going to have to do some digging around. I know. But if you like what you see, then stick around. That's always my my philosophy. And if you don't like what you see, you need to leave. Of course, you can still watch a couple of people for entertainment reasons and for fun, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we all need to make the same content, we always need to be positive, or that we always need to be trustworthy, because also the sense of trustworthiness. I mean, I try to do my fair share of trying products and going back to them and reusing things, but I've certainly changed how I do things over time. I mean, when I started this entire makeup journey online and I first started blogging, my makeup fit into a little makeup bag. That's how I got started. Like, I know so many people here still have perhaps that makeup bag, or maybe a single drawer in a desk with all of the stuff that they're getting ready with. And then, of course, as time progressed, we are where we are today. And I feel like where I'm at right now, amount-wise, is okay. It's what I can manage. It's where I feel I can still go back to things. And that's also why I sometimes turn down PR, because I'm like, I can't deal with it right now. Like, if I were to receive any more products at the minute, I don't even know when I would review it, because it would be so many months down the line. And I try to give everything a review. Everything that you see me haul, it ends up in a video somewhere. I try to stay away from, I've shown it to you in a video once, and then it's going to show up in my declutters again. I don't think I succeed fully in doing that, but it's definitely my aim. It's definitely my intention. And I definitely think that there are more creators like that, where it's their intention to keep that sort of train rolling and to go back to things and try things again. And maybe they don't show everything on YouTube as well. I definitely think that as a viewer, and you're only watching YouTube, you're also missing content from a lot of creators, because some of them then like do all the looks on Instagram, or they do certain things on TikTok, and not everything happens on YouTube anymore. So I definitely think you need to diversify. If you want to see everything that a creator has to offer, you almost need to follow them on different platforms to sort of see them swatch things out, or have them see like the flat lays, or have them do the makeup looks. It usually happens on different platforms, because different platforms are good for other things. It's why I never really got into Instagram. I have an Instagram account that is linked down below, but it's just my personal account. I don't use it to promote what I do. I don't show makeup looks on there, or like really try to make it makeup focused. I've just never gotten around to like having a concept for what my Instagram would look like. So yeah, it's just not something that I've tried to like integrate it into the content I was making, but it just never worked. And the same thing with shorts and TikTok. I have a lot of ideas of what I could do, but bringing them to fruition and like having them posted, that's a whole other ball game. But yeah, I definitely think that if you think like, oh, I always watch this creator, I watch all of their videos on YouTube, but I can't trust them because so and so and so, but you're not also following them on other spaces that they link to in their description box, you might be missing content. I'm just saying. And that can, of course, skew your opinion of how trustworthy you think someone is. Because I know a lot of creators like post on other platforms the things that don't work very well on YouTube, but that do work very well somewhere else. So there's definitely that as well. So yeah, can PR skew opinions? It certainly can. I mean, if you get something for free, you kind of feel almost obliged to do something back. It's like, ooh, that's so nice of you. And then you sort of want to give back automatically. So there's that. It's like definitely like a psychological thing almost. Of course, you don't have to, and I definitely think that if you get to the point where you receive so much PR that you cannot even post about all of it anymore, then that's also when you need to start making choices, of course. But my approach to it is that I try to just be very selective into what I say yes to, and that if something sounds too good to be true, it's also going to be too good to be true. And there are so many things going on behind the scenes of, what brands end up doing to get creators to post about them. And that's definitely the case with like bigger brands sometimes. But anyways, I received PR consistently for about a year. And then after a year, I get an email saying, hey, if you want to stay on as someone who receives PR from us, then please enter this contest, and whoever creates the most sort of backlinks to our website, the more PR you will receive or whatever, then you would win and then you would stay on the PR list, something like that. I don't remember the specifics, but anyways, they kind of framed it as a contest. And I know from some other brands as well, from other creators that I used to talk to, that it also happened for them, where at first they were receiving a bit of PR, like trying to like lure you in and you want to keep doing that. And then they sort of make it a contest of, if you refer like so many people back to our website, or if you sell over a certain amount of money in the affiliate link program, that's when they will keep you on the PR list. So there's definitely sort of little ploys, and like there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of viewers actually know about. And just know as well that it's not always on to, like, you cannot always blame the content creator for doing things the way they do, because sometimes it's a demand from the brand. And of course you can ask yourself then, as a creator, like, if the brand wants this from me, is that then a brand I want to work with? Yes or no? Of course, that's always the question. But it's also the way it works. It's kind of like you give something, they give you something, and you give something back. It's sort of like this transactional relationship that you have with a brand. And I definitely think that is something that behind the scenes part isn't very visible to viewers as well. So while I do think there are creators whose opinions are skewed by PR, I don't think it's always necessarily the intention or the truly what's going on, because that's all you see, what's going on the screen. Yeah, as I was saying, sometimes it may seem as if it's untrustworthy, but you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And there is a certain amount of sponsorships you're gonna have to accept if you do want to do YouTube full time. It can be difficult to just have, enough viewers to pay your bills every single month, especially if you're big on other platforms, because not all platforms pay creators. It's just the nature of the game. So yeah, that's definitely something that goes into it as well. So maybe you learned something from this. I'm just sharing my experiences here, and that I definitely think it's a little bit more nuanced than you might think. I definitely think it's not because people are just trying to be untrustworthy that they change their opinion or something like that. That's not what's usually behind it. I definitely think there are creators who are just so busy with all the new products they're getting in that there's just no more space to talk about things. And I definitely also think that the demands that brands have can skew how creators create their content. So especially if someone started their channel the way I have, really nice and slow, and then when they hit a certain threshold, they all of a sudden have more sponsored content, I definitely feel that that's when people become the angriest, you could say. But that's usually the only way to sort of accelerate your channel and get to that higher level almost. And I do know that there's like a certain limit. I think Robert Welsh talked about it. Like he said he needed about 50,000 to 7,000 subscribers to generate enough money for him to be making a living with what he was doing on YouTube and going full-time as a content creator. So it's definitely possible to do it mainly on views. I know Angelica Nyqvist has talked about this as well, that she wants to make certain videos so that she keeps having high amount of views. But then that also, of course, skews the content you will make, because you're always looking for that next big hit that's going to get the views in. And of course you can word that in a positive way as well, where you're like, oh, I'm just doing what people like watching, and then that as well. But yeah, views can be very fickle. You don't know in advance what's going to do well and what is not going to do well. Of course, once you have your core audience and that core audience is big enough that they watch certain things, I definitely feel that I've sort of hit that mark now as well, where I can be pretty certain that if I post about a certain thing that it will do pretty well. I kind of know it's not like a complete shot in the dark anymore, but there are definitely videos where I'm like, why is this all of a sudden doing so well? And then I hadn't expected it at all. So that's definitely a thing as well. So it's possible. I definitely think that you still need to be very careful with your judgment of people in that sense, and that if you don't trust it, if you feel that someone is just not delivering the kind of content you want, X out. Don't even leave a comment. Don't, because the minute you engage, you tell the algorithm that you like it. Just X out, leave, unsubscribe, bye-bye. And then you're happy, and then everybody's happy, because that's then just not what you were looking for. And as I mentioned, don't try to push creators to do a certain thing, because that's A, not how the industry works, and B, it's not what is feasible for most people either. So I definitely think that goes into it as well. So yeah, to round it up, yes, I think you can be skewed if you receive PR. It's almost like human nature to be a little bit more positive about those things. But I do think there is a little bit more going on than what most people might think. And I definitely also think that you have to be very careful, and you have to do a little bit of digging and do your own research in order to know for sure whether you want to keep watching or not. And that's completely up to you. That's not something I can decide for you. I definitely think that we all look for different things. As I mentioned, I have my way of doing things, and if you're here, I hope you appreciate my way of doing things, which is just not the same as most creators. And I don't have any issues, as I mentioned. I have no issues staying a small fish in the sea. I'd rather be growing slowly but steadily and still enjoy life and not have everything be online in my life. I just don't think I ever want that for myself. I'm not, like, my ambition is not to grow this channel to the point where I can do it full time. It's not my ambition. And not because I don't want to, but I love my other job too much, and I'm enjoying life the way it is, and this is just a hobby. That's the way I see it. It's a big hobby, and it's definitely one that takes up a lot more time than the average hobby does. But it's time that I'm willing to spend on it as well, and I just want to see where it goes. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to do this in a perfect way or think it's the way I do it is better than anyone else as well. I definitely think that every creator finds their own way with these things, and as I mentioned, the only way to go full-time is if you get the sponsorships and the PR. So we just can't win. We just can't win. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear what you feel about this topic. So let me know in a comment down below how you feel about how PR shifts opinions, etc., etc. Because I would love to know and get your input. Let's have a conversation down below. And then I hope to see you again very, very soon in a new video. I will be back, I think, yeah, later this week you should get another video from me. So another 2 videos. Because there's 4 videos a week over on this channel, 1 on the second channel every single week, and then I do post nearly daily over on the blog. So lots of different spaces where you can follow me for sure. So I hope to see you in one of those, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!